2023 Coke 600 weekend was so darn fun, and I want to take you along for the ride with me. So without further ado, let's get to it. In case you're new here, my name is Taylor Kitchen. This is my show Above the Yellow Line, and I took a trip to Charlotte for the second time for the Coca-Cola 600 weekend. I got some really cool behind-the-scenes experiences and some experiences you can have for yourself if you take a trip to Charlotte next year or in the years to come. So I want to start by talking about day one of my trip, which starts at Junior Motorsports. Lots of teams hold fan days so their fans can experience the shop while they're in Charlotte for the 600 weekend. Junior Motorsports never misses during these days. They unveiled the Hellman scheme that Junior will run later in the year. They usually have free Bojangles. We were a little late to the party, didn't get that quite this year, but they had a lot of cool displays, especially the sun drop display. I got a crap ton of merch from that shop. We also saw Dale Jr. Did not get a picture of him, but seeing him was enough. That was really, really cool. As you can probably imagine, Junior Motorsports was packed, so we quickly left that shop to go to another location, a surprise location on our trip that originally was not on my schedule. We stopped at a place called Off Axis Paint in Mooresville, literally like 2 to 5 minutes away from the JRM shop. And if you've never been there, just peek around, you're missing out. One of the employees at Off Axis Paint, his name is Tanner, he also runs their social media pages, showed us around and just the detail. I literally could not tell you before this experience how the helmets are made. I never thought about it, but it is a detailed process, and the artistry that goes into it is incredible. I didn't realize how much you have to prep the helmets, how much time it takes to prep the helmets, and these folks at Off Axis Paint are so talented and their product is so good, they're booked out a year on designing helmets for people. That is how crazy good they are. The founder of Off Axis Paint and one of the artists, his name is Greg. At a young age, he got into motorsports racing dirt bikes, and through his younger years, he started picking up a airbrush, went from airbrushing t-shirts to helmets. He moved to North Carolina in 2012, and in 2014, the business became official. Just to see the trajectory of his career, now he's painting helmets for drivers like Martin Truex Jr., Christopher Bell, Alex Bowman, Justin Allgaier, even outside of NASCAR as well, with Devlin DeFrancesco from IndyCar. So they're all over the place with their fantastic designs. During this vlog, I'm going to be mentioning wanting to bring a lot of people onto the show to talk about their experiences. One of those people is absolutely Greg, and I want to hear a lot about his friendship with Sam Bass. They were really good friends, and Sam actually gifted Greg his desk. So the desk that Sam used to work at is in Greg's office, and it's so detailed, and getting to see all the memorabilia around Greg's office too was so cool, from helmets that he's designed, some of Sam's artwork as well, newspaper clippings. It's so incredible. If you have a chance to go check out Off Axis Paint, please do it. I want to thank them for their time taking myself and my family around. Jaws were on the floor the whole entire time we were in there, because it's just overwhelmingly cool, if I could say that about Off Axis Paint. So definitely a must stop if you're ever in Charlotte. It wouldn't be a trip to Charlotte if we did not go to the NASCAR Hall of Fame, so that's where we went next, especially with them having their 75th anniversary displays out. It is worth going to. Glory Road was decked out with a ton of incredible cars. You start off with Austin Cindric's Daytona 500 win from 2022. Other cars that I loved seeing was DW's number 1 Pennzoil 1998 Monte Carlo that he drove for DEI, filling in for Steve Park after his injury. We also had classic cars like Jeff Gordon's Chrome Illusion, the Richard Petty Charger, the Power of Pride Jimmy Johnson 2003 Monte Carlo scheme, which by God, it is one of my favorite schemes I've ever laid my eyes on. Same with the Dale Jr. National Guard Chevy SS. They had trucks on display and even modifieds on display. A Jerry Cook 1997 Ford Pinto. I've never seen a modified car up close, so seeing that was very, very cool. They did a great job on Glory Road displaying NASCAR through its 75 years, through some of the most historic cars in the sport. Of course, I also had to see my idol, Lightning McQueen. I was a little starstruck. Definitely starstruck. But the child in me, my 7, 8, 9, 6-year-old self, however old I was when I first watched the Cars movie, was crying. That was very cool to have, especially for kids who go to see the Hall of Fame. That was awesome. We then quickly walked over to the 2023 Hall of Fame class displays that they had for Shelmerdine, Kenseth, and McGriff. I love looking at these displays because there's a lot about some of these Hall of Famers that I might not know a lot about. So having the display items and having the items that they picked out to be in their display cases, it's a great compact way to learn their history, and there's some items too that I just didn't even know about, which was great. On the walls around those displays for the 2023 class, you had information about every single Hall of Famer that has been inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. You could literally spend probably an hour just reading through all of those plaques and listening to all of the videos that they have in that room. Very, very cool. The Hall of Fame even has a new interactive exhibit featuring the Ford Mustang, taking you through the Gen 7 car from an aerodynamic standpoint, to the engines, to even just the body of the car. They even have videos of Ford drivers explaining the car itself. And something that I thought was really cool too is they have like an iPad display, and when you put the iPad camera like up against the engine, there was a 3D kind of rendering model of the engine working. That was really unique, very, very cool. I kid you not, I was just memorized by that for like 15 minutes straight. And then promptly to your right is the sim racing. I will admit, I did not do as well as I would have liked. I got wrecked quite a few times. I would say I drove more on the side of caution because I was too scared to get wrecked, while my friends and everyone else put down really fast laps. So I have some work to do. Once I'm able to get iRacing and a sim rig, we're going to be practicing, and you better believe I'm going to win a race at some point in a rig. It just was not going to be at the Hall of Fame during that day. I have so much work to do, but if you're able to go to the Hall of Fame, get a voucher and pay for having that sim experience, because that is well worth it. It's so fun. As I've kept saying, you can spend hours at certain exhibits that they have in the Hall of Fame. You could spend all day there as well. I remember, I think hearing during the rain delay on Saturday, I think there was a record number of people that attended the Hall of Fame. I could be totally wrong. I don't want to give more away about the exhibits that they have. You got to check that out for yourself. So make sure to check out the NASCAR Hall of Fame anytime you're in Charlotte for a great experience for yourself or even your family. It's really fun. That night, I had the experience of a lifetime. Keystone France, one of the tire changers for Austin Cindric, invited myself and my family to take a tour through Penske's shop. You all know me, Penske and Hendrick Motorsports were the reason I got into NASCAR from the fan side of things, so having that invitation out there was wild. Gladly accepted it, and Keystone was so kind and took almost 2.5 hours to take my family through the shop, going through the details. The first thing that Keystone told us about the shop is that Roger Penske loves to have history on display all around, from their successes and even their failures. A display I thought was really cool is in one of the lobbies, you had all the helmets on display for every single Indy 500 race Team Penske has won. And with Joseph Newgarden winning the Indy 500 that weekend, there's going to be another helmet on display making 19. So very cool to see that and just walk through that history. I put this in my vlog last year, but when you walk into Penske, they have a fan walk, almost like a balcony that the fans can go on to take a look from the top down of Penske's shop. With this tour, I was able to walk on the shop floor and see some of my favorite schemes of all time, most particularly for me that Ryan Blaney Advanced Auto scheme. And I also got to see Austin Cindric's Keystone Light car in person. And in person, like, I wasn't in love with it, just seeing it from my TV screen, but in person, I love the scheme so much. The detail that is into it with all the different blues and even just like the browns in that scheme and the greens looks fantastic. And then of course, one of my favorite schemes of all time, standing up close and personal to that Rusty Wallace Miller Genuine Draft scheme. My God, I was so happy. I kid you not, like, that is one of my favorite schemes of all time. It is gorgeous, so being able to be up close and personal with it was really cool. It was very, very cool. So from that balcony, you can see that area that I just talked about with those cars on display. But Keystone took us behind the scenes, showing us the workout facility for the crews, for the teams, the drivers. He showed us the area where the pit crews practice their pit stops. That was really cool. I got to hold a pit gun and I was about to drop it. I'm glad I did not drop it. Those things are heavy. I mean, I knew that they were heavy, but I didn't realize how heavy they were. So props to them. You gotta be strong to be on the pit crew. And I knew that to begin with, but it's a whole other appreciation that I have for those pit crew members after Keystone walked us through everything that they have to do to train, to practice, even just traveling. It's a lot on them, so props to those folks. There were parts of our tour too that I felt like I was going through an IKEA, just the amount of stores that they have in the back and everything like that. But it was an incredible experience to be able to walk through a championship-winning team's shop. So thank you to Keystone for giving myself and my family that experience. Definitely want to have him on the show because his career within itself is wild. Just all the teams he's worked with and everything he's done to get to the point where he is now is awesome. A fantastic guy. So thank you, Keystone, for that experience. Like we did last trip, we started our Friday at RFK's Fan Day. They never disappoint. This year they had a bunch of new displays. They even had some of the crew members out with the fans talking through parts of the Gen 7 car, the pit stops, so that was really unique and very, very cool. I did a more in-depth tour of the museum in the last vlog that I did, so if you want to learn more about the inside of that RFK museum, make sure to check that video out after this one. But something that drew my eye in was seeing Chris Buescher's flipped car from last year's 600 in person up close. The damage to that car, just mind-boggling. I think that was neat that the team put that on display for the fans to see. They also have another wrecked car on display that I talk about a little bit more in that last vlog. But again, a stellar museum, a lot of history in there, and they really do go through the history of all the organization's drivers. They do not leave anyone out, so make sure to check out RFK's museum and their fan shop. It's spectacular. After that, I went to a shop that I had never been to before, and that was Hendrick Motorsports, and my God, I can't even explain to you just the scope and scale of HMS. It is massive. If you've never been there, go there and your jaw will be on the floor immediately. Like, I felt like I was walking onto a college campus with everything going on. They have buildings separating out the teams, seeing the cars up close, especially the Jeff Gordon cars up close. That was really cool for me. During that fan day, I got to meet Alan Gustafson and Cliff Daniels, so that was really cool talking to them for a few minutes, especially talking to Cliff about the All-Star race where his driver Kyle Larson dominated. That was really fun. And in the Hendrick Motorsports Museum, there were a few specific cars in there that I have to talk about, and they even had on display outside in the kids area as well. The one car I want to talk about is the Transformers 3 Dark of the Moon car, the Jimmy Johnson one. That was really cool. I know in that movie they also had one for Juan Pablo Montoya and Dale Jr., but they had one specifically on display from Jimmy Johnson. So that was really cool to see in person. And if you followed my channel for a long time, you know some of my favorite paint schemes in the whole entire world are Terry Labonte or even just Hendrick Motorsports number 5 schemes. So seeing the Terry Labonte schemes in person, I wanted to cry. They were so cool because I have the 124s, I even have 132s and 164s, but that was a real life one. And I panicked. That was amazing. That is a museum you have to check out because there are cars just side by side. It's literally just like a show garage, or there's a massive amount of cars in one building, and that was incredible to see. That's all I could say. So go check it out. If you can, check out Hendrick Motorsports. The second shop that we got to tour, equally as incredible, Trackhouse. Josh Gordon reached out to me. He's an employee of the team and was like, hey, you want to tour the shop? And I was like, heck yeah, I want to tour the shop. So myself, some of the A2IL crew, and my family were able to go and have that amazing experience. Something really interesting that we learned, and we know this, is that with prior generations of the cars, these teams will make specific cars for specific tracks. You don't do that with the Gen 7 cars. So literally, Ross Chastain's car that he used for Circuit of the Americas, they were using and fixing up for Darlington. So that was really interesting to learn. We also got to stand like millimeters away from the Hale Mellon car. The team has that back, and I kid you not, like the width of a quarter is how close I was to that car. And even then, like on TV, it looked pretty damaged. In person, it really didn't until you looked under the car, and that right front arm is snapped under the car from that impact. So that was also really interesting to see and to note. Just like Penske was filled with history, so was Trackhouse. In their short history, I know they acquired assets from Chip Ganassi, but that team, the way it came together, an incredible story. And I know I had a reel, a short, TikTok, the story of 235 feet. That is how close that team was to a championship in 2022. When Joey Logano took it, Ross Chastain was in second, so they remember that. Definitely check out the story I have on this channel. Also the story of how they put together this new Trackhouse shop. They had all the crew members, all the employees leave for 3 days for a weekend, and over those 3 days, they had the whole interior painted blue. They had sayings put up on the wall. They walked everybody in at once after those 3 days and were like, this is a new team, this is our goal, this is our mantra, this is what we are after. And just hearing how all those employees jumped onto this new mission of Trackhouse, and Pitbull was there, and even then, heck, Ty Norris. We got to talk to Ty Norris too. He was going down from his office to work out, and he ran into my family, and we literally had a 20-minute conversation just about the effort and how incredible Trackhouse Racing is, and even hearing more about Ross Chastain and Daniel Suarez and how they're like around the shop and the employees. That was so cool as well. Also hearing that one guy, one single dude, wraps the cars. Usually at shops, you have a team doing that. Not Trackhouse. There is one guy who has a particular way of wrapping the cars, and he does it all alone. That is incredible to hear as well. Just the way that Trackhouse is doing things differently in their story and even their branding. I love it. So that was really cool to be able to walk around the shop. Thank you, Josh, for taking the time to take myself and my family around. Thank you to Ty Norris for taking time to talk to myself and my family as well. It was an incredible and unforgettable experience. Also, Josh, if you're listening to this video, which I'm pretty sure you are, you were great on camera. So remember that. You're great on camera. Thank you for taking the time to make that 235 video with me. All right, this is the part of the trip where I regret some things. And I'm sure the A2IL crew also regrets some things monetarily. So money-wise, there was a lot of money spent this weekend. The tents, the beautiful tents that are by Charlotte Motor Speedway, where all of the merch is really held, vintage merch. We could spend days going through that and we still wouldn't have seen everything there is to see. I went in there with a specific mission to get sheet metal, and I did. I got a front bumper. The picture is on my Instagram page. I am thrilled about it. I didn't want to get die cast, but I did. I kid you not, the pact that we had between all of us is that I would stay with Adam and Dom to make sure that I did not spend an absurd amount of money. I would keep them in check. I left for maybe like 20 minutes to meet some of you all, which I'm going to get to that in a second. That was awesome. And I came back and they had cars in their hand. They had already spent. We're not going to talk about how much we spent, but it was wild. If you have a chance to go through those tents and to buy merchandise, do it. You will get a lot of deals. Sometimes you won't get deals, but you will find rare merchandise that you will not see anywhere else. So definitely check out those tents when you are at the track, if they are there. After we walked through the tents, we went to the ARCA race and the truck race. First off, thank you to Brayton Laster for repping the ATYL logo. That was so cool to see and very special for me too, because my family was at the track and getting to see my logo in person, crazy. I might have cried a little bit. I promise you I did. But that was awesome, even to have the crew there to see it too. So thank you to Brayton for supporting the ATYL brand and all the work that we do here. The ARCA race was pretty tame. Last year's ARCA race, not so much. This year, the racing was solid. It was really good. And same with the truck race. It was overwhelmingly tame as well. I really hated to see Carson Hocevar miss out on a Charlotte win yet again. Congrats to Ben Rhodes, though. Ben Rhodes is one of my grandma's favorite Truck Series drivers because my grandma was born in Kentucky. Ben Rhodes, born in Kentucky. It made sense to her. It was like a hometown driver, so that was awesome for her to see in person. Started off Saturday in the Xfinity garage area. It was an early morning, but I did not care. The experience that you get in that area of the track is so darn cool. Got to meet Natalie Decker. That was super awesome. Did not realize respectfully how short she was. It's because I'm almost 6 foot, so that was a very big difference, but that was so cool to meet her. Got to see other drivers like Josh Berry helping his team working on the car. Got to see Brennan Poole. Even seeing drivers like Carson Hocevar walking around the garage area. And I loved seeing like drivers and their families and their crews around their haulers, and they had almost like a picnic of food set out with where their haulers were, and same with hero cards. I picked up so many hero cards. Hold on a second. This is the absurd stack of hero cards that I picked up in the garage area that weekend. I'm ashamed of it. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm glad I picked these up because I used to collect these when I was a fan and I would go to the races, and being able to do that this year was really cool, especially with how much the drivers and the teams have moved around in the last 3 years. So I'm gonna have to figure out where I put these. But that's the big stack I got from the garage area. And also too, this wasn't from the track, but I got my 2 mini Byrons. So that was neat. Thanks to Vegas, Las Vegas Motor Speedway for sending these over. As we all know, it rained all weekend long. The Xfinity race was postponed until Monday. We knew that was going to happen just because of, one, how the rain looked Sunday, and two, it did not let up raining at all Saturday, and even then, really didn't let up Sunday either, period. So that night, I ended up meeting with the Toby Christie team, and that was really fun too. Had a great sleep, and then we went on to Sunday. Sunday morning, I had some work to do outside of the brand, so I got that taken care of. It was a great time. And then I ended up going back to the trailer to watch the Indy 500 with my family and friends. That was really fun. Just first off, like I said earlier, the reason I got into the sport as a fan was because of Hendrick Motorsports and Team Penske. Those are the teams I gravitated towards when I was first joining the sport. So And same way with IndyCar, the reason I got into IndyCar was from Team Penske. I recognized the name, I recognized the drivers, especially from the Penske games, and so I was drawn to that team immediately. And when Joseph Newgarden won the 500, all of us were like screaming our heads off in the trailer. We were all jumping around. It was so much fun. A great race too, an unprecedented end to the 500, but another win for Team Penske to add to their amazing repertoire of wins. Congrats to Joseph Newgarden, but that was a really cool instance to watch and just to be around family for, because I don't think the rest of my family had seen a full Indy 500 except for that day, so that was awesome. What wasn't fun was the waiting game that we all had to play. We knew we weren't going to get racing in. It never stopped raining, as I've said a million times over. The prediction I made on January 25th, 2023, preseason predictions, I added in that the Coca-Cola 600 would get rained out literally as a joke because I wanted 10 predictions. I couldn't think of 10 for the Cup Series specifically, so I was like, all right, why not? Knowing my luck, it's going to get rained out. That is an instance I really hated to be right in, especially for the sake of my parents. They couldn't stay until Monday when things were postponed to, so they weren't able to see the 600 when it happened on Monday. Same with the rest of the Xfinity race, so I was so upset for them that they weren't able to stay, and I was upset and proud, just a little proud of myself that I was right. Like, that was a crazy prediction to get right. It sucks. That's gonna go in the history books for me in my brain in this channel for sure. But I'm glad NASCAR called it early, and I'm equally as glad that Charlotte Motor Speedway was allowing folks with Xfinity tickets to get into the Cup Series race regardless of if they had tickets for it or not, and vice versa, so that was awesome of the track to do. Because Monday was a doubleheader, it was a freaking long day. We woke up at 6 just to be able to get to the track by 8 or 9 before all the traffic really started. And a crazy amount of people stayed for Monday. I know it was Memorial Day, it was a holiday, so a lot of people were off of work. But even then, sometimes people aren't able to stay, so it was nice to see a good number of people still able to go to the track. So the Xfinity Series got some of their racing in, but again, it was a constant mist. I kept giving updates during the day, and something I've never seen happen before is they paused the race and they said, hey, we're gonna get the 600 in, we're gonna finish the Xfinity race after Cup. That was really weird. Again, like I said, I've never heard of that happening before, and granted, I became a fan of the sport really like 2016, 2017, so maybe something like that's happened before then, but to me, it was unprecedented. Regardless, Xfinity race had to be paused, and at that point, we headed to the Cup garage. At that point, I went ahead and sought out autographs. The one autograph I got that was on my bucket list was one from Kurt Busch, so I was super happy and thrilled to be able to get that. Very nice to take the time. I have, not in the background right now because I'm trying to get the flag fixed. I had some Sharpie spill on it. That's another story. But Kurt Busch literally stopped, took the time to sign the flag. I thanked him, he thanked me. It was a great interaction. Also got to meet Caitlin Vincey. I also got to meet Jamie Little. Caitlin and Jamie are two women that I've looked up to as I've gone into the sport, and as I've trying to figure out my career. That's awesome that I was able to meet two prominent women in this industry. I also got to meet drivers like Alex Bowman, Corey LaJoy, Harrison Burton, super sweet, super nice guy. I also got to meet Ross Chastain, which was really cool. So the experience, the VIP experience, was awesome. Very thankful to have had that during the 600 weekend. And as we were in the garage area, the weather started to warm up, the sun started to come out, they were calling drivers to their cars, and the 600 was about to get underway, so we quickly head up to the stands. And again, the rain on and off, couldn't decide what it wanted to do. We were in our ponchos, we were in our heavy jackets, then we were in short sleeves and our shorts, and it was a really wacky weather day, but I am so thankful to NASCAR, the teams, the crew, the track, for their persistence in getting this event going, because once the weather was clear, it was fine. The racing was so good. 2022, that race, like, I don't think anything can top that, but this race was so good. And when the sun came out, the Fords came to play. The racing, it was a lot more dicey just because the track was a lot hotter. The racing was a bit slicker. It was very cool to see that Ryan Blaney win in person, and it was cool to see how he celebrated the win, just like Joseph Newgarden did when he won the Indy 500 that weekend, diving into the crowd, celebrating with the fans. Right after that celebration, that exciting celebration, the Xfinity Series got rolling right away, literally picked up right where they left off. A decent amount of people stayed for that race. It was really late, so I understand why a majority of people left. At that point, I thought a Joe Gibbs car was going to win, so I was surprised when Justin Allgaier's car came to life. That was also fantastic seeing him win. kind of breaking that dry spell that Junior Motorsports had, obviously winning at the track last year with Josh Berry. So that was awesome. It was a really late night, and before we knew it, the trip was over and the 600 weekend has come to a close. Before I close out this video, I gotta say it was fantastic meeting so many of you at the track. I was standing in line probably to get my 5th Hungry Howie's pizza, and I would get a tap on the shoulder saying, "Excuse me, are you the person from YouTube?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's totally me." So that was awesome getting to meet you all and the kindness and the conversations that we were able to have. So thank you to those who sought me out. That was awesome. Hope to see more of you at the track in the future. I also want to thank my family and my friends for making this trip possible and for making it such an incredible experience. To Josh and to Keyston for reaching out to take us behind the scenes. Thank you for that. To even, NASCAR and the track itself for persisting through this entire weekend of rain. Thank you to the fans that came out to meet me. Thank you to everybody. Just thank you for making this one hell of a trip. I'm excited to hopefully be going back to the 600 in 2024, and I'm excited to see you all at a track sometime in the near future. It looks like Mid-Ohio is going to be the next race for me. So in a nutshell, that was my 2023 Coca-Cola 600 weekend. Thank you all for following along. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Also, if you're not following our social media pages, make sure to do that at _TaylorKitchen_ on Twitter and TikTok, and above the yellow line on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, as well as TobyChristieCom on all social media platforms. Thanks everyone for watching this video, and thank you for the support. And until next time, I'll see ya. Bye. Want to watch more great motorsports content? Make sure to watch more videos from this page and make sure to click the link in the description for more from us here at Above the Yellow Line and TobyChristie.com.